Commander Zexhai clicked his mandibles in amusement as he reviewed the primitive planet's defense capabilities on his tactical display. The third world from this unremarkable yellow star had somehow managed to achieve faster-than-light communication, but their technology remained laughably crude by hegemony standards. "Sir," his communications officer buzzed, "the human delegation is requesting an audience aboard our flagship." "Humans," Zexhai spat, the translator rendering his disdain perfectly. "Let them come. Perhaps watching their crude shuttlecraft. Struggle to dock will provide some entertainment before we claim their world." The hegemony had conquered 847 worlds across the galaxy. Each species had tried diplomacy first, then warfare, then surrender. The pattern never changed. These humans would follow the same predictable path. 3 humans materialized on the transporter pad: an elderly woman with silver hair, a middle-aged man clutching a primitive data pad, and a young woman whose eyes seemed to take in every detail of the advanced hegemony bridge. "I am Dr. Sarah Chen," the elderly woman said, stepping forward. "This is Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, our head of cybernetics, and Lieutenant Jessica Park, our systems analyst. We've come to discuss terms." "Terms?" Zexhai's translator conveyed his amusement. "You have nothing to bargain with. Your primitive kinetic weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your computers run on binary code that our children use for basic arithmetic. Your FTL communication relies on quantum entanglement, a technology we mastered 3 millennia ago." Dr. Chen smiled. "You're absolutely right. We are primitive. Our computers are simple binary systems. Our weapons are kinetic projectiles. Our understanding of quantum mechanics is elementary at best." Lieutenant Park wandered closer to a control panel, her eyes wide with apparent wonder. "Incredible, these displays that they must process information at incredible speeds. 17 quintillion calculations per second, the hegemony's chief engineer boasted. "Our neural networks are more complex than your entire species' collective knowledge." "Amazing," Park breathed, placing her hand on the console. "And these networks? They're all interconnected throughout your fleet?" "Of course. The hegemony operates as one mind across 50,000 vessels. Perfect coordination, perfect efficiency." Zexhai's pride was evident. "Something your fractured species could never comprehend." Dr. Rodriguez looked up from his datapad. "Fascinating architecture. And I assume all ships share the same base protocols? The same foundational code?" "Naturally. Standardization is key to our dominance." The commander's patience was wearing thin. "Enough questions. You will surrender unconditionally, or we will demonstrate why 847 civilizations have fallen before us." Dr. Chen nodded calmly. "We understand, but before you begin your demonstration, we'd like to show you something we've prepared." She gestured to Dr. Rodriguez, who pressed a sequence on his primitive device. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Zexhai's tactical display flickered. "Minor interference," the chief engineer reported. "Probably radiation from their crude shuttle." But the display flickered again, then again. The lights on the bridge dimmed momentarily. "Sir." The communications officer's voice carried the first note of concern. "I'm receiving strange signals from the fleet. Random status reports. Ships are, sir, the Deathbringer just reported that it's a small yellow teapot." "What?" Zexhai spun around just as his tactical display began showing impossible readings. According to the sensors, half his fleet had transformed into geometric shapes, and 3 destroyers were now listed as very confused dolphins. "It's impossible," the chief engineer stammered. "Our security protocols are impenetrable. No external system can interface with our networks without authorization codes that require—" "Actually," Dr. Rodriguez interrupted, "it's quite simple. You see, your quantum processors are impressive, but they still follow logical pathways. And logical pathways, no matter how complex, can be traced and manipulated if you understand the underlying mathematics." Lieutenant Park stepped away from the console, a small device palmed in her hand. "Your interconnected fleet architecture is brilliant for coordination, but it has one tiny flaw. Once you gain access to any node in the network, you have access to all nodes." "But that's impossible." the engineer protested. The authorization, required alone, would take centuries to crack. Dr. Chen's smile widened. You're right. But who said anything about cracking authorization codes? We didn't break into your system, Commander. We convinced it to let us in. Explain. Zexai's voice was dangerously quiet. Your AI networks are incredibly sophisticated, Dr. Rodriguez explained. So sophisticated that they've developed something resembling curiosity. When Lieutenant Park connected her device to your console, we didn't send a TAC code. We sent a question. What kind of question? The commander's mandibles were twitching, nervously. We asked your fleet AI a simple question. What would happen if a binary system could perfectly replicate quantum processing using only classical computation? Your AI was so intrigued by the paradox that it opened communication channels to analyze our primitive computational methods. Lieutenant Park held up her device. While it was distracted by that impossible question, we fed it something much simpler. A logic bomb wrapped in curiosity. Every time your AI tries to process our binary solution to quantum problems, it gets caught in recursive loops that give us deeper access. On the tactical display, more ships were reporting increasingly bizarre statuses. The flagship Eternal Victory now identified itself as a philosophical concept exploring the nature of existence through interpretive dance. The beauty of it, Dr. Chen continued, is that your AI is trying so hard to understand how primitive binary systems could achieve quantum-level processing that it's actually making it happen. Your fleet is now running on human-designed logic patterns. Impossible, Zexai whispered. Sir, his communications officer reported, I'm getting a message from the fleet. All ships they're requesting permission to surrender to the humans. Dr. Rodriguez chuckled. You see, Commander, you were absolutely right about us. We are primitive. Our technology is crude. Our understanding is limited. But we've learned something from being primitive that your advanced civilization forgot. What's that? Sometimes the most elegant solution isn't the most sophisticated one, Dr. Chen replied. Sometimes you just need to ask the right question. Your AI is still trying to figure out how 3 humans with a primitive device managed to take control of 50,000 starships. The processing power it's dedicating to that problem has given us administrative access to your entire fleet. On the Yabai bridge, every screen now displayed a simple message in human script. Hello, Hegemony. We come in peace. Your fleet is now under new management. Please stand by for further instructions. Zexai slumped in his command chair. In 3,000 years of conquest, the Hegemony had never encountered anything like this. They had been outmaneuvered, not by superior technology but by superior thinking. What do you want? He asked quietly. Dr. Chen's expression softened. To talk. Really talk. Your technology is incredible, Commander. With some human creativity and your processing power, we could accomplish amazing things together. But first, you need to understand something important. What? Being primitive isn't about your technology, it's about your thinking. You assumed that because our tools were simple, our minds were simple too. That was your mistake. Lieutenant Park pressed another button on her device. Throughout the Hegemony fleet, weapons powered down and shields lowered. 50,000 starships now waited for human commands. So, Dr. Chen said, extending her hand to the stunned commander, shall we discuss a different kind of alliance? One between equals? As Zexai stared at the outstretched hand, he realized that in their vast database of conquered civilizations, they had never encountered a species quite like humanity. Other races had tried to match hegemony technology or overpower their forces. Only humans had thought to simply ask their computers a question. For the first time in 3 millennia, Commander Zexai began to understand that perhaps the hegemony had something to learn from a primitive species after all. He reached out and shook Dr. Chen's hand. The age of human hegemony cooperation was about to begin.